A dangerous severe weather setup is unfolding across the United States tonight. Meteorologists are tracking a rapidly intensifying storm environment capable of producing tornadoes, destructive winds, and very large hail across several states. Atmospheric conditions are aligning in a way that creates a corridor of heightened tornado potential. Warm, unstable air from the Gulf is surging northward, while powerful upper level winds sweep across the plains and Midwest. When these ingredients combine, and the storms can rotate quickly and become extremely dangerous. Tonight, millions of people may be inside the risk zone. Let's break down where storms are developing and which cities are most likely to experience severe impacts. Developing storm environment. Across the central United States, the atmosphere is becoming increasingly active as a strong frontal boundary stretches across the region. This boundary acts as a dividing line between two very different air masses. On one side, warm and moisture-rich air is moving northward from the Gulf of Mexico. On the other side, cooler and drier air is advancing from the west. When these contrasting air masses meet, the atmosphere becomes unstable, creating favorable conditions for thunderstorm development. As the warmer air pushes into the region, it begins to rise because it is lighter than the cooler air above it. When air rises rapidly, it cools and condenses, forming clouds that can grow vertically into tall thunderstorm towers. These clouds can quickly reach heights of tens of thousands of feet. The faster the air rises, the stronger the storm can become. This process is already beginning to take shape along the frontal boundary, where clusters of storms are starting to form and organize. Not every thunderstorm becomes severe. Some storms may simply produce rain, lightning, and occasional gusty winds. However, under the right atmospheric conditions, certain storms can grow stronger and develop a rotating structure. When a thunderstorm begins to rotate, it can evolve into what meteorologists call a supercell. Supercells are the most powerful and organized type of thunderstorm. They have a persistent rotating updraft, which allows them to maintain strength for a long period of time. One of the key ingredients supporting this rotation is something called wind shear. Wind shear occurs when wind speed or direction changes significantly with height in the atmosphere. Tonight, winds near the ground are blowing from one direction, while winds higher in the atmosphere are moving much faster and from a different direction. This difference causes the air to begin tilting and spinning as it rises through the storm. When rising air inside a thunderstorm interacts with this spinning motion, it can begin to rotate vertically. That rotation strengthens the storm structure and allows it to organize more efficiently. Instead of collapsing quickly like weaker storms, rotating storms can sustain themselves for much longer periods. As the storm continues to develop, this rotation may tighten within certain parts of the thunderstorm. When that rotation intensifies and extends downward toward the surface, the possibility of tornado formation increases. Not every rotating storm will produce a tornado. But the presence of strong wind shear and unstable air makes the environment more favorable for that outcome. Because these atmospheric ingredients are aligning tonight, forecasters are closely monitoring developing storms along the frontal boundary. If the storms continue to strengthen and organize, some of them may transition into powerful rotating thunderstorms capable of producing severe weather. High risk. Corridor. Forecasters are closely monitoring a broad corridor of severe weather potential that extends from North Texas through Oklahoma and into portions of Kansas and Missouri. This region currently sits in the most favorable environment for strong thunderstorm development as atmospheric conditions continue to evolve throughout the evening. This corridor is important because it lies directly in the path where warm and unstable air from the south is colliding with cooler air moving in from the west. When these air masses interact, the atmosphere becomes more energetic, creating the kind of instability that allows storms to grow quickly. As this process unfolds, thunderstorms forming in this zone may intensify faster than usual, especially as the evening progresses. Several large population centers fall within this developing severe weather corridor. Cities such as Dallas and Fort Worth in North Texas, in Oklahoma City and Tulsa in Oklahoma, Wichita in Kansas, and Kansas City along the Missouri-Kansas border all sit within areas where storms could organize and strengthen. Because of the size of these metropolitan areas, even a single severe storm moving through the region could affect hundreds of thousands of people. Evening travel, outdoor activity, and daily routines may be disrupted if storms intensify as expected. As storms begin to organize along this corridor, they are likely to move in a southwest to northeast direction. This movement is controlled by strong winds higher in the atmosphere that act like a steering current, guiding storms along a specific path. As they move northeast, storms may strengthen further by tapping into warm and moisture-rich air ahead of them. The primary concern with storms in this corridor is their ability to produce multiple types of severe weather at the same time. One of the most common threats will be damaging straight-line winds, which occur when powerful downdrafts push air toward the ground and spread outward. Wind gusts in stronger storms could exceed 70 miles per hour, strong enough to bring down tree limbs, damage structures, and knock out power in localized areas. Another concern is large hail. Inside strong thunderstorms, powerful updrafts can lift raindrops high into freezing levels of the atmosphere. As these drops circulate repeatedly within the storm, they freeze and grow larger before eventually falling to the ground. Hailstones in the strongest storms could become large enough to damage cars, break windows, and dent roofing materials. In addition to wind and hail, the atmospheric setup also supports the possibility of isolated tornadoes. While tornadoes may not occur with every storm, rotating thunderstorms within this corridor could briefly produce tornado development if conditions become favorable. Because of these combined threats, residents across this corridor should remain alert to changing weather conditions as storms begin moving through the region. Weather alerts, radar updates, and official advisories may be issued quickly if storms strengthen or begin producing severe weather. To tornado development risk. The potential for tornado formation increases when certain atmospheric ingredients come together inside a thunderstorm. Tornadoes typically begin when air inside a storm starts rotating, and that rotation becomes stronger and more focused over time. As the rotating air tightens and stretches downward from the cloud base towards the ground, a tornado can form. This process can happen quickly, especially when the surrounding environment strongly supports storm rotation. Tonight, the atmosphere across parts of the central United States contains many of the ingredients that meteorologists look for when evaluating tornado potential. One of the most important factors is low-level moisture. Warm, humid air flowing northward from the Gulf of Mexico is providing storms with a large supply of moisture near the surface. Moist air rises more easily than dry air, which allows thunderstorms to grow taller and stronger. The stronger the rising motion inside a storm, the greater the chance that rotation can organize within it. Another critical factor is wind shear, which refers to changes in wind speed and direction at different heights in the atmosphere. Near the ground, winds are blowing from one direction, while several thousand feet above the surface, the winds are moving faster and from a different direction. This difference creates horizontal spinning motions in the atmosphere. When strong updrafts within thunderstorms lift that spinning air upward, that the rotation can tilt vertically and begin forming a rotating storm structure. When thunderstorms develop in environments with strong wind shear, they can evolve into supercells, which are rotating thunderstorms capable of producing severe weather. Inside these storms, the rotating column of air known as a mesocyclone can tighten and strengthen. If that rotation begins extending downward and becomes concentrated near the ground, a tornado may develop. But one of the challenges during severe weather outbreaks is that tornadoes can sometimes form with very little advance notice. Even with modern forecasting tools, some tornadoes develop quickly as storms intensify. In situations where storms are moving rapidly, the time between a warning and the arrival of dangerous conditions can be short. This is why awareness and preparation are extremely important when a tornado-capable environment is present. In some cases, the same thunderstorm may attempt to produce multiple tornadoes during its lifetime. As the storm moves through the atmosphere, it can go through cycles where the rotation weakens temporarily and then strengthens again. During these cycles, new tornado attempts may develop at different points along the storm's path. Because these processes can evolve quickly, meteorologists closely monitor radar signatures, storm rotation indicators, and real-time observations. And radar allows forecasters to detect rotation inside storms before a tornado forms, giving them the ability to issue warnings when dangerous conditions appear imminent. For people located within the storm corridor, staying aware of updates is essential. Weather alerts, local warnings, and real-time radar information provide the earliest indication that severe storms may be approaching. During severe weather situations, paying close attention to these updates can provide valuable time to move to a safer location if conditions begin to worsen. Timing. Window. Weather conditions are expected to become increasingly active as the day transitions into evening. Throughout the afternoon, the atmosphere continues to warm and build energy. This daytime heating plays an important role in thunderstorm development because it helps warm the lower layers of the atmosphere. When the air near the ground becomes warm and humid, it becomes more buoyant and begins to rise. Rising air is the fuel that allows thunderstorms to form and grow. As the late afternoon approaches, the atmosphere will likely reach its most unstable point of the day. During this time, the first thunderstorms may begin forming along boundaries where warm air is forced upward. These early storms may initially appear scattered and somewhat isolated, but they serve as the starting point for a more active evening weather pattern. Once storms begin developing, the environment around them can quickly change. As evening approaches, large areas of unstable air remain in place, providing additional energy for storms to strengthen. Thunderstorms that form earlier in the day may merge together or organize into clusters. When this happens, storms can grow larger and begin producing stronger winds, heavier rainfall, and in some cases severe weather. Yes, meteorologists are particularly focused on the period from early evening through midnight. During this window, the atmosphere still contains significant instability, while winds in the upper levels of the atmosphere become stronger and more supportive of organized storm structures. These stronger winds help storms maintain their strength as they move, rather than weakening quickly. Another factor during this time is the increasing difference between winds near the ground and winds higher in the atmosphere. This difference enhances the storm's ability to rotate and organize. When thunderstorms develop in such an environment, they can become more efficient at producing severe weather hazards, such as damaging winds, large hail, or isolated tornadoes. Storm movement is expected to follow a southwest to northeast path across the region. This pattern occurs because the winds higher in the atmosphere act like steering currents that guide storms along their track. As a result, storms forming across parts of the plains may move northeastward into portions of the Midwest as the evening continues. This means communities located farther northeast of the developing storm line may see conditions deteriorate later in the evening. The areas that start with calm conditions during the afternoon could experience strong thunderstorms later at night as the storm system expands. Because storms may move quickly during this time window, weather conditions could change within a relatively short period. Clear skies or light rain can sometimes transition into strong thunderstorms in a short amount of time once the atmosphere becomes fully energized. It is important for residents in the potential impact zone to remain aware of updates during the evening hours. Forecast adjustments, radar developments, and official weather alerts will help determine exactly where the most intense storms will track as the night progresses. Additional threats. While the possibility of tornadoes often receives the most attention during severe weather outbreaks, they are not the only hazard that storms may produce tonight. In fact, thunderstorms developing within this environment may generate several different types of dangerous weather conditions at the same time. When multiple severe threats occur together, the overall impact of a storm can increase rapidly, even in areas where tornadoes do not develop. One of the primary concerns is large hail. Inside strong thunderstorms, powerful upward currents of air, known as updrafts, can carry raindrops high into the colder parts of the atmosphere where temperatures are well below freezing. As these droplets rise and fall repeatedly within the storm, they begin to freeze and grow into hailstones. Each trip through the storm adds additional layers of ice, allowing the hail to increase in size before eventually falling to the ground. In the most intense thunderstorms, these hailstones can grow quite large. Some storms may produce hail approaching or even exceeding the size of golf balls. Hail of that size can cause significant damage. Vehicles left outside may suffer broken windshields or dents across body panels. Roofing materials can be damaged or weakened, which sometimes leads to leaks later on. Windows and outdoor equipment may also be vulnerable when hailstones fall with high speed and force. Another serious threat comes from damaging straight-line winds. Unlike tornado winds that rotate, straight-line winds move outward from thunderstorms in powerful bursts. These winds are typically created by strong downdrafts, columns of sinking air that accelerate towards the ground inside a storm. When that air reaches the surface, it spreads outward quickly, producing intense wind gusts. During strong storms, these gusts can reach speeds capable of bringing down tree limbs, toppling weaker trees, and damaging power infrastructure. In some cases, wind gusts may be strong enough to cause structural damage to buildings, particularly where roofs or siding are already vulnerable. Downed trees and power lines can also create temporary road blockages or power outages in affected communities. Heavy rainfall is another hazard that may develop within these storm systems. Thunderstorms are capable of producing intense rainfall over short periods of time, especially when storms move slowly or repeatedly pass over the same location. This can lead to brief but significant water accumulation on roads and in low-lying areas. Sudden heavy rain can also reduce visibility for drivers, making travel conditions more dangerous during active storms. In areas where drainage systems become overwhelmed, localized flooding may occur, particularly in urban environments where water runoff accumulates quickly. When storms contain large hail, strong winds, and heavy rain simultaneously, then the overall impact can become more severe than any single hazard alone. Even communities that avoid direct tornado development may still experience significant storm-related problems. Because of these combined threats, monitoring weather updates and remaining aware of changing conditions is extremely important as storms begin to move through the region. What to do if warnings are issued? When severe weather is developing, one of the most important things you can do is pay close attention to official warnings. A tornado warning means that a tornado has either been detected on radar or observed by spotters, and dangerous conditions are either already occurring or about to occur in the warned area. When a warning is issued, there is often very little time to react, so taking immediate protective action is critical. The safest place to go during a tornado warning is the lowest level of a sturdy building. Now, if your home has a basement, that is usually the best location because it places as much structure as possible between you and the storm. If a basement is not available, move to a small interior room on the lowest floor of the building. Areas such as interior hallways, bathrooms, storage rooms, or closets can provide additional protection because they are surrounded by multiple walls. It is extremely important to stay away from windows and exterior walls. Tornadoes can generate powerful winds that turn debris into dangerous projectiles. Flying glass, broken branches, and other debris can travel at high speeds, creating serious hazards near windows or doors. Moving to an interior space reduces exposure to these risks. In homes without basements, placing yourself in a small room near the center of the structure is often the safest option. If possible, use heavy furniture or sturdy objects as additional shielding. Many emergency managers recommend covering your head and neck with blankets, cushions, or even a mattress to provide extra protection from falling debris. Certain types of structures are much more vulnerable during tornadoes. Mobile homes, manufactured housing, and vehicles offer very little protection when exposed to strong tornado winds. If you live in a mobile home, it is extremely important to have a plan in advance for where you will go if a tornado warning is issued. Identifying a nearby sturdy building or designated shelter ahead of time can save valuable minutes when conditions become dangerous. If you are traveling or caught in a vehicle when severe weather approaches, the safest option is to reach a strong building as quickly as possible. Remaining inside a vehicle during a tornado can be extremely dangerous because vehicles can be easily overturned or carried by powerful winds. And another critical part of tornado safety is making sure you have reliable ways to receive warnings, especially during the overnight hours. Severe storms do not always occur during daylight, and nighttime tornadoes can be particularly dangerous because people may be asleep and unaware that conditions are changing. Weather radios designed to sound alarms during warnings are one of the most reliable tools available. In addition, each smartphones equipped with emergency alert systems can receive official warnings issued by weather agencies. Many communities also use local emergency notification systems to provide alerts about severe weather threats. By preparing ahead of time and knowing where to go when warnings are issued, individuals and families can greatly improve their safety during severe weather situations. Being aware, having a plan, and acting quickly when alerts are issued can make a significant difference when storms become dangerous. Final update. Atmospheric conditions across the region remain highly supportive of strong thunderstorm development tonight. Several key ingredients that meteorologists monitor closely, including warm surface temperatures, abundant moisture, and strong winds higher in the atmosphere, are combining to create an environment where storms can strengthen quickly. When these ingredients align, thunderstorms have the potential to organize and produce hazardous weather. It is important to understand that not every storm that forms will become severe. Some areas may only experience brief rain showers or general thunderstorms. However, the broader environment still supports the possibility that a few storms could intensify rapidly. In those stronger storms, hazards such as damaging wind gusts, large hail, and isolated tornadoes remain possible within the storm corridor. Because severe weather situations can evolve quickly, conditions may change within a short period of time. A calm evening can sometimes transition into active storms, with little warning as new thunderstorm cells develop or existing storms strengthen. For this reason, staying informed and aware of the latest weather information is extremely important. Residents within the potential impact areas should continue monitoring trusted weather updates, local advisories, and official warnings from meteorological agencies. These updates provide critical information about where storms are forming and how they are moving. If warnings are issued for your location, be ready to act quickly and move to a safe area. Severe weather events require attention and preparedness. Remaining aware of changing conditions and following reliable updates can help ensure you are ready to respond if storms begin approaching your area. Awareness, preparation, and quick response remain the most effective ways to stay safe during severe weather outbreaks. Conditions will continue evolving through the night as storms organize and move across the region. We'll be tracking radar trends, storm development, and any warnings issued in real time. If you are within the potential impact corridor, keep alerts enabled and remain aware of changing conditions around you. Severe weather situations can develop quickly, and early awareness gives you the time needed to respond safely. We'll continue monitoring the atmosphere and providing updates as new data comes in. Stay informed, stay prepared, and stay ahead of the storm. This is Storm Signal USA.